Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David, beginning with the 144,000 and the rest of the men and women and children out of the 12 tribes whom Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai will ultimately have mercy upon in these last days. I'm your brother Matazabah from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And this is going to be a news and prophecy update pertaining to the Mark of the Beast, MOTB, which indeed is the RFID micro C-HIP pertaining to Revelation, the 13th chapter. And as you can see here, this is as of April 21st, 2026. And the title from the People's Voice.tv article reads, Trump executive order will force Americans to surrender biometric data or lose their bank accounts. All right. And see, this is another step towards the MOTB. OK, and this is nothing but pure gradualism. OK, which I bring out from time to time in my lessons. And the word gradualism simply just means a sequence of steps that are taken until you get to the final goal. OK, and as Aaron Russo stated in an interview with Alex Jones, their final goal, or the ultimate goal in the end for the top banking elites, is to have everybody chipped. All right. So let's just quickly go through this. All right. It starts off by saying the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has confirmed that a Trump administration executive order requiring U.S. banks to verify citizenship for every customer, new and existing, is actively in process. The policy means millions of Americans will have no choice but to obtain and present a U.S. passport containing embedded biometric facial data or risk being locked out of the banking system entirely. OK, no, hey, and we, beginning with the apostles, bishops, and elders on down, we have been telling you this was coming. All right. It ain't much more of a conspiracy now, is it? OK, these things are coming to pass. So that lets you know that the true prophets of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, they are here. OK, because does not the scripture says, let's start off with that. Let's get not Ecclesiastes, but let's get Ezekiel 33. OK, and 33. It says, and when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet had been among them. OK, because everything we prophesied of what was coming is coming to pass. OK, and like the prophet Habakkuk said, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. OK, it's no longer tarrying. It's here at the door. Right. So back here, it says Bessent made the remarks last week at a semaphore dinner and the CNBC Invest in American Forum. He argued banks must fully know your customer, including legal immigration status, and declared that undocumented immigrants don't have a right to be in the banking system. Now, this sounds similar to if you go to Google. All right. And we're going to save that. And you type in the UK's ID for digital or the UK's digital ID for immigration. OK. MSN, this was 22 hours ago. And really, this was this started 6 months ago. But the UK Keir Starmer, Prime Minister, announced his plans to launch digital ID scheme to curb illegal immigration. So it ain't just happening in Babylon, the Great America. This is happening globally. And oh, by the way, remember, Mexico also issued a digital ID as well. If you've been following, OK, the news. Now, remember, now let's bring this picture back up, because Mayor Amsha Rothschild said this, and I quote, "Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws." You see? So what does this have to do with anything? Well, it has to do with a lot based upon this, whether it's Babylon the Great America, whether it's the UK, whether it's here in Australia. It doesn't matter whether it's Mexico. Notice all of these nations, okay, are setting up their people to be equipped within this system. And the elites, they don't give a fuck, and excuse my language, but they don't give a shit how the countries do it as long as it's implemented. That's all they care about. As long as they have control of the funds and the money, which they do, they don't care who's in a position of power running that country as long as the order is followed out, because this is what it's leading to. You see what I'm saying? So let's come back to the article. It says reports indicate the order would accept passports as the primary proof of citizenship, while real IDs and many other common documents that Americans have traditionally used to prove that their identity do not qualify. So they openly telling you, man, this shit finna get cut out. That's no longer that's no longer acceptable, right? Now, I'm going to come back to this video towards the end because she said a lot. But it says the B trap. I'm going to just name it that. It says every U.S. passport issued since 2007 is a biometric e-passport, and it contains an RFID chip that stores your personal data along with a digital facial image specifically formatted for government facial recognition systems. Now, you'll have somebody that's going to come up, see the chip has already been here, brother. So I don't know what you guys talking about. It's already been here. No, what we're saying is, according to the scriptures, okay, he's going to, as the scripture says, what John the Revelator saw, okay, they want to implement it in your right hand or your forehead. They want to put it in you. That's the ultimate goal. Okay, remember, you're the cattle, okay, that's led to the slaughter. Okay, and that's CHIP is going to act as is going to serve as a badge of servitude, man. Right? So it says, although applying only requires a standard photo, that photo becomes permanent biometric data held by the State Department. By tying bank accounts to passport verification, the executive order transforms this biometric passport into a de facto national ID requirement for financial survival. You see that? That's why the scripture says, which we're going to get later, that without the mark or the charagma, okay, they will not be able to buy or sell. Okay, so you're not going to be able to make transactions without taking part in this B system. Okay, that's going to be led by that digital footprint, right? Tens of millions of Americans without a valid passport will now be forced to get one, handing over their facial biometrics to the government in the process. This is not voluntary. It is compulsory access to your most personal biological identifier just to hold a checking or savings account. Scott Bessent, Soros' protege turned Treasury Secretary. Scott Bessent is no outsider to the elite financial power, and he spent years at Soros Fund Management playing a direct role in the notorious 1992 Black Wednesday raid that netted over $1 billion by crashing the British pound and forcing the UK out of the European exchange rate mechanism. He later served as a chief investment officer under Soros and helped execute other major bets against national currencies, including the Japanese yen. Bessent even launched his own hedge fund with substantial seed money from Soros himself, right? Now, as a Treasury Secretary, this long-term Soros ally is the public face of a policy that funnels ordinary Americans into a biometric database through their bank accounts, all right? And it says here, the real agenda, building the globalist digital control grid. And I always bring this up. You had a woman by the name of Catherine Austin Fitts. She goes into this digital control grid almost every interview that she sits, right? Now, you know, if the spirit permits me, I'm going to leave this link in the description box, if I can remember, post. But I want to get into this video really quickly that was posted on X, right? So watch what this woman had to say.
The man running our Department of Treasury right now should scare the shit out of every single American. I wasn't going to do a follow the money on Scott Bessent because my list is so long right now. But yesterday was tax day. And in honor of that, him and Carolyn Leavitt got up on a press conference and tried to gaslight Americans into saying that gas is cheaper now than when Trump took office, even though it's around $4.10 right now on average. And it was $3.08. It's $1 more. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break, divert, and do a follow the money. And when I put these pieces together, I was like, how? My jaw was on the floor. I was like, how is this man our Treasury Secretary, and how did he get through this Senate confirmation? Because they confirmed him like 68 to 29. It was like one of the better ones. But I'm pretty sure he's going to tank the American dollar, if not when he's in office, as soon as he's out. But I'm just guessing, so let's get into it. All right, Scott Bessent went to Yale. He graduated from Yale in 1984. I think. He was the president of Wolf's Head. It's one of the 3 major secret societies that are at Yale. He went when he graduated and did some Wall Street junior jobs before George Soros hired him to work for him. And he didn't just work for him. No, he went and ran the London office. And in 1992, 1 year after he started working for Soros, he was the guy who figured out how to break the Bank of England. So Bessent found the vulnerability in UK mortgages that identified that the British government was trapped. He had Soros bet on it, $1 billion. And in one day, the pound crashed. And Soros and Bessent and the George Soros's firm, well, they made billions. In 2013, he did it again, but this time with the Japanese yen, and crashed that, and over 3 months made Soros $1.3 billion. So our Treasury Secretary is just really good at identifying vulnerabilities in currency, betting against them, and then having that currency collapse. See where I'm going with this? Aren't we so lucky? Dollar's not in harm's way at all, is it? He's also the one that hinted at making Iran's currency crash right before we went in for the war and why everyone was protesting. He did allude to that, which caught my attention, but moving on. There's a lot more. He worked for Soros, left for a few years to start his own management company. It failed. He went back to Soros. And then a few years after that, he was like, okay, I'm going to try again. And Soros gave him $2 billion to start the fund that he had up until right before, we're going to get to this, he became Treasury Secretary. This fund ultimately lost money every single year, except 2024 when Trump got into office, because they made a bunch of bets about Trump getting into office. But they lost money every single year prior, took all the $2 billion that Soros gave them and lost it. They were down to like 500 million or something. Then 85% of their investors pulled out right before he became Treasury Secretary. So he isn't good. He loses money, and now he's in charge of our economy. Okay, it's all making sense now. But on top of that, in his fund, while it was losing so much money, he had categorized himself as a limited partner, even though he was CEO, founded it, ran it. He was a limited partner, then way he could evade $910,000 in Medicare taxes that he should have been paying. Then it went to litigation, and currently, it's still there. Currently, he is overseeing, as the Treasury Secretary, his own evasion of taxes case. Make it make sense. Okay, September 2025. Remember that Argentina bailout that we did? It was $40 billion, $20 billion of which we gave them, bailed them out, and $20 billion of which they have to pay back. Well, his friend, Citron, I forget his first name, he runs a hedge fund. They worked together at Soros, and they're friends. Well, Citron his firm purchased billions, hundreds of millions of dollars of Argentina bonds and equities right before the bailout. And then a few months later, we bail them out, and he makes tons of money. That's not insider trading, is it? Because Bessent is the one who ran the bailout. There's a bunch of other shady stuff. I'm telling you, I can only get the highlights of some of them in here. There is so much, so please go check out the Substack. I haven't gotten into crypto, haven't gotten into Epstein. We need to talk about those files. Please stay tuned. We'll do a part 2.
Yep, and there it is, man. All right, so basically we're in a time where these devils, okay, because remember the scripture says, let's get Job 14:5. It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Okay, so right now with everything that's going on in the Gulf, dealing with the war with Iran, okay, And World War III get ready to pop off. Before those missiles hit, this enterprise, as mentioned in Job, the 5th chapter, this has to come to pass, man. All right. Esau, the Yahweh Bashem El Shah is putting the spirit on these devils to move. Okay, quickly. Okay. So this is further proof to let you know that the time is at hand, man. All right. They're about to set up shop, man. And look, we can see this implemented. There was talks a couple of days ago. They're saying that we can see this system implemented by as early as June and July. You see what I'm saying? And it makes sense because back in January, they tried to collapse the Iranian currency to try to force the regime to give up. Right. So this is all done by, via way of design, man. OK. And now what the elites are doing, they're using this war because remember, every war is a banker's war. Right. You look that one up. But see, Esau, he lives by the motto, never let a good crisis go to waste. Right. So there's so many distractions out here with the war, with what Trump is doing and stuff like that. All of this whole nonsense about, ceasefire and everything, that's going to continue to go back and forth because they're trying to put the squeeze on the economy because they are ready to crash the dollar. Right. And by them crashing the dollar, that's going to give them the opportunity to flick the switch to bring in that reset. Now everybody got to come in under this digital currency where you're going to be tracked. And we've been telling you this, man. So you know what? Let's get we got to go there. We're going to close out Revelation 13. OK, and 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. See, now you can see how this is going to play out because it doesn't matter what your status is in this world. Once the economy crashes and everything, everybody is going to be on this system, regardless if you are an artist, musician, OK, sports athlete, it doesn't matter. OK, even if you're incarcerated in jail, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're in the military, doesn't matter. OK, even if you're living in government housing projects, doesn't matter. He causeth all, no matter what your status is, OK, to receive his charagma, OK, which is the chip. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you saw in the article that Trump is trying to establish that, every single Babylonian, aka American, has to have a passport, which is going to be digital via way of biometric facial recognition. OK, which basically is going to keep a track on everything. Whether you're traveling from state to state, OK, or going overseas internationally. But if you don't have one, as they said, what's going to happen? Right. If you don't have one, it says this is not voluntary. It is compulsory access to your most personal biological identifier just to hold a checking on your savings. OK. And if you don't have one, as it says at the top, it is basically says by tying bank accounts to the passport verification, the executive order transforms this biometric passport into a de facto national ID requirement for financial survival. Financial survival. We've been telling you. So a lot of you guys, you're going to have to make a choice. OK, see, Esau, he deals with carnality. He's not spiritual. So he's going to attack you by means of carnality. That's why he's gathering all of the resources and everything. And then he's going to put it as a digital token. This is why the scripture says in Revelation 3:10, let's get that, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also would keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. See, the whole entire globe is going to be tried because this is going to be global. This ain't just going to be in the U.S. So when they bring this chip in, okay, you're going to have to step out on faith, because you're not going to be able to buy or sell. That's why they says financial survival. You want to be able to live comfortably in this man's system. What do you think you're going to have to submit on his terms by taking that chip, which ultimately you're showing your allegiance to his system, man, rather than showing your allegiance to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, right? So let's close it off with what's going to happen if you do take it. Revelation 14:9. It says, and the third angel followed him, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So you gonna suffer, okay, the punishment of being destroyed by Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai if you take that chip. It's plain. You see? So that's pretty much all I wanted to get. We here, Akim. All right. So, Abaratazah, this was edifying and exhorting. And I want to give all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles once again. All right. The bishops, the elders on down of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David. Shalom.